Good morning, everyone. Actually, indeed, the journey for Danone of responsible business started many years ago. We have the privilege and trying to get this heritage alive with many of my colleagues, 100,000 of them. I can say that Danone is now fully embarked, and has been for a long time, in a vision of business that's much broader than what stops at the gate of our factories. We probably have more than 100 social innovation projects all around the world that are truly embedded on our country business units. They're not outside, they're not in a foundation, they're not run by charities for us. They're really embedded in our business. We have also made sure that all our 15,000 team leaders in the company have an important part of their bonus, yearly bonus, which is related to their social achievement through their business, in order to make sure that this is not only something which is either bottom or top, but really threads on the total company. The lesson that I think we can have from these experiences is that basically three things. One, we are really building a more sustainable business. That doesn't come with just pluses when you're a manager, because the flip side of that is that as we're building a lot of social capital by weaving links with our ecosystem, it means also we can't change and slash the strategy from one minute to the other. Otherwise, we will just destroy that social capital. So I cannot promise to anyone that tomorrow I can fire 1,000 people, or I can change the collection of milk in France or in Kenya, by the way, where we collect milk from 150,000 farmers overnight because someone has decided that it would be much more profitable to do it in a different manner. So that creates bonds. That means that we have to work with time when we do this. The second learning is that it's incredibly innovative. We have learned a lot. From leveraging this social capital, we've embarked the knowledge, the wisdom, the practices, the traditions of so many other people that are around the company. And I wouldn't do that if we hadn't had this approach of actually co-building, co-designing some of these solutions with them. And so, in a way, this is really restoring from inside a reverse-engineered innovation process that allows us to look at our business from a social side, from a society standpoint, that's profoundly profitable in terms of the vision that it brings to us and opening new areas. And lastly, and probably not surprisingly to you, and in particular when I see these graphs that we've just seen, this is an incredible way of engaging our people. One reason why people are joining Danone is because they lead a professional life that they can be proud of in their private life. And that is a very important function for many of the generations to come on the job market. So don't expect me to tell you much more about how good and great we are. I won't comment on that, but I'd like to, before we start these high-level panels, I'd like to take you through a very short story, but that story has changed my perspective on many things. It was about 10 years ago. I was with our friend Mohammed Yunus, the founder of Grameen Bank and Microcredit in Bangladesh. We were starting our social business. Social business is very interesting because it's a business with the governance of that business is that we don't take dividends. Shareholders don't take dividends. So in a way, as a shareholder, you have to think hard about why do you do that, basically. And as a company, we decided that we wouldn't call that a profit. We would call that an economic surplus, and that economic surplus can't go to any shareholder. So you have to think hard about what do I do with it? My God, for the first time, I have to ask myself the question of what do I do with my profit? And then you have to think yourself about this is a very small, tiny factory in rural Bangladesh that produces with fully local milk and local ingredients the most powerful yogurt that we have on earth, enriched with micronutrients to serve the health of rural kids and to employ local people and to empower women as entrepreneurs to distribute and sell these products into the villages. So we have many options. with our economic surplus the day it comes? Shall we lower the price to make it even more affordable and impact more kids? Shall we improve nutritional impact so that the kids that are eating it are going to benefit even stronger from it? Shall we improve the price at which we buy the milk? Because we're also here to ensure that the very poor farmers we're working with are going to get a better living out of doing business with us. Or shall we improve the margin for the ladies so that they can turn, instead of turning 60 cents a day out of it, they would turn $1 a day, which would double their income for their family. And so we are in the field. Here I'm with Mohamed Yunus, a small Danone team, and we go for a question and answer session in one of these villages. It's very hot, there's just a roof, and there are probably 50 ladies here, all in incredible colors of saris, listening carefully to what Professor Mohamed Yunus has to say. He's talking in Bangla and explaining the purpose of the project, here, why we're here, doing good, helping you guys and the communities and health and everything. And I feel good about this, although someone is translating to me. And then we call for questions, because the idea is to co-build with these women. And the first woman who stands from the back stands up and she says, "Good morning, I'm Yamina. I live in this village. I hear all the good things about this very powerful yogurt you're bringing to us. Today, I do my yogurt myself. So I buy the milk from my neighbor. And as I don't have money, the way I pay her is that I take care of her kids while she's away working in the fields. So if now I buy your yogurt, how is she going to do with her kids?" If anyone in the panel has an answer to that, I've been looking for it for 10 years. I can tell you this question has been the hardest question I've ever been asked in my life as a business guy. It's a question that changed my life. Because for Yamina, it was obvious that economy was about what our Greek ancient people thought, oikos nomia, the way we manage together the home that we share. How do we take good care of that home? How do we put in order, in right order, this home that we share, our village, our country, the planet, our supermarket? She wasn't a different person when she buys in the shop, when she cooked at home, and when she does business. She wasn't a good father at night and a horrible business night during the day. She was one person. She probably didn't have read Adam Smith, but she didn't rely on invisible hand to go for her personal dealings, hoping that probably the market would take care of the kids of her neighbor. She had a very fundamental view that in this micro world she was living with, the macro perspective equals the micro perspective. Social capital is fundamentally embedded in her life, and it's not in mine. I have to fight to re-embed it every day in Danone's life. And so for her, it was obvious that prosperity couldn't exist if we didn't share it. And I think what I learned this morning in this small village of Bangladesh is what is at stake for all of us here in this discussion. Because prosperity will not last if we don't share it. You know, it's obvious that now we know the limits of this planet. And not only we know the limit of the planet, but because of social media, digital, and everything that I see on these tables, and you guys typing, you know exactly what's happening on the other side of the planet, and the other side of the planet knows what's happening here. And it becomes obvious that prosperity is not shared. It becomes obvious, and we only start to see the collateral consequences of this with the migrants in Europe, for instance, one way or the other. That's about how can we bring prosperity, a prosperity that is shared, to last. We call it responsible business. We call it mutuality. There are words to say that that cannot be a world in which the winner takes it all. That cannot be that world. That's a world where we need a balance. We need a thought. We need a relationship beyond the transaction. That's social capital that Bruno was talking about. We call sustainability a lot of things, actually. I think it's an acceptable word, not too scary for Davos, to discuss about a much more fundamental topic, which is that what is at stake with globalization is not getting even wealthier for the wealthy people. We all know that inequalities are rising, and that's the problem. What is at stake with globalization is social justice. Because if this is not what's going to happen, we are not going to have a prosperity that lasts. So how to bring social justice as part of the conversation? At a time when, as again these graphs are saying again, there are not much money left for governments. Lots of very complex things to regulate. And even philanthropy. A big part of philanthropy, in terms of the numbers, is inherited from the fact that a lot of capital has been accumulated in the hands of a few people that have later decided to give back. But that's not the topic. Giving back is too late. We can't have another 50 years. We can't have another 10 years. We need to embed social justice right now in business. And business cannot achieve that alone. We can't achieve that without civil society, without philanthropy, without governments, without academics to know what we're talking about. As Colin said earlier, do we really know what we're talking about? So we're trying to experiment. I can tell you, and as I said, this has been the biggest, the most difficult question I ever received. And I hope you understand why it's so important, why it can really make a difference if you decide to make a difference in your life. This starts with Yamina's question. So I hope today will be a fruitful session. Thank you.